So hi, welcome to another video. And today I want us to talk about foundation, good marriage foundation, and why it is important. Why foundation? Why do we even talk about foundation in marriage? And for those who are new, my name is Frecia. I am a psychologist and I use um, psychology perspective and spiritual perspective to prepare you for better marriages. So, as we talk about foundation today, I want to say that personally, I think from what I've learned over time is that marriage is actually for builders. If you're not willing to be a builder, then it can be very hard to sustain a marriage because it is a process where two people come together and you agree and you start building something. And of course, there are times when people will come together to build when they are not in agreement, and you can see everybody is building from their part. And at the end of the day, you can see that there is nothing the house is not being built. So, marriage is definitely for builders, but how you build also is up to you. And when you decide to build a house, the first place you begin is at the foundation. And when you are a builder, or when you see people building even a structure, you can see that building starts with the foundation. And that part is actually very messy. There's a lot of soil, dust, and it is not a very simple process. It is a process of trying to expose the ground, and it is tedious, and sometimes that's why some people would rather not build a foundation and skip this step. And um, to explain why is the foundation important, I want to use an analogy that actually Jesus used in the Bible, the story of the sower. We know the sower in this story is actually God who was throwing seeds. And when he threw the seeds, they fell in four different places. The fact is, those seeds were all the same, and the ground appeared to be like it's just a ground there. But the content of each ground was different. So, when we put this into the perspective of a foundation for a good marriage, I want us to look at the first place that the seed fell. The first bunch of seeds fell on a pathway. And from there, we learn that this is a place where the seeds were trampled on, the birds came and ate the seed, and nothing grew. When I think about this story, it reminds me, like it shows me of, or even stories or couples I've seen who've gotten into marriage with zero preparation. Like for them, maybe just feeling the emotions of love and just having each other was enough. And they just started into marriage. So there was zero preparation. I would liken it to this, that like a foundation made on the pathway. And we see that when you build your house on the pathway, your house of marriage, it will be trampled on by people. It will be eaten by birds. And you'll find that that doesn't hold ground. And you'll find that such a marriage will not last because it is exposed. Everybody can walk past there and just, the birds are also feeding. So there are so many, like you've just settled on a place that is public, like everybody can access there. And that's why you can see that you're not ready, you're not willing to do the work. And sometimes I would call it maybe some you may do it out of ignorance, but mostly I think it's about pride. And pride for me is a type of fear. It's a type of maybe a person who is not willing to do the work. You're fearing to get dirty. You're fearing to get dust on yourself, to get your hands dirty, to expose your emotions, to be asked hard questions, to make decisions that are hard. And when you skip this step, you find that it's very hard for you to build a sustainable foundation. So the second place the seed fell also, they fell on a rocky ground. When the seed fell on a rocky ground, they actually grew, they germinated very fast because the soil is exposed to the sun, it's a bit warm, and the ground is hard. So they germinated very fast, but when they were scorched by the sun, they died. And these are people who, yes, they love each other, and we saw them loving each other, and we all think that this is good. And then things just happen, and you wonder, like, what happened? I thought you guys were good. And you realize that these are maybe lovers who got into marriage, but in their preparation, they were not willing to go deeper. They were just shallow, not exploring anything deeper about family, their own values, their own goal. They did not explore how maybe to manage their finances in a deeper way. They did not maybe even allow each other to learn each other's emotion, share their own experiences as individual, even create their own space for self-awareness, especially in regards to what they were getting into in marriage. And so for these people, maybe they'll have a good wedding, a good relationship, but after a while, things just don't work because the ground is hard. There's no penetration of the roots, and so the foundation cannot stand. When hard things happen, the sun is burning, difficult times come, the building is crushed, it dies, and the relationship just ends. The third place that the seed fell was in a thorny bush. It grew in a thorny bush. So the seed fell on the thorny areas, and we see that it grew. The seed grew, but also it grew together with the thorns. And as the plant matured, the thorns were also growing alongside it. And you know, a thorn has sharp edges. So as the plant grew, it's growing together with the thorns, and so the thorn crushed it. And so it didn't matter in this case whether the soil was good. The environment that the seed grew was dangerous. Like the thorns were out there to crush it. So it didn't matter whether the foundation was right, but the surrounding and the environment that this seed was didn't allow it to survive. This represents like a couple who have actually done the work. They've prepared for marriage. They've invested in themselves. They were even willing to go deeper, and they went to the roots. But also, they forgot their environment, where their marriage is supposed to thrive, where their marriage is supposed to be built, the foundation. Around the foundation of their marriage, it was a crowded place. And this represents the thorns. The thorns are maybe relatives, friends who are crowding your marriage, your work, anything that you find that as you build this foundation, it becomes more important. It's given priority to an extent that it crashes the marriage itself. This is actually very alarming, and it brings out the issue of creating boundaries, especially learning to create boundaries in your marriage. And this is one of the factors that really affect marriages, because there are people who are willing to do the work. You learn, you get the information, you prepare a good ground, but you're not willing to let go of some things. There are things you want to accompany you. But as you remember in the beginning, that God said that a man shall leave his father and mother and be united with his wife, and they become one. So you realize that for the foundation of a marriage to be strong and to survive, there is the oneness that should be there. It is not three, it is not four, it is one. So it's two of you coming together to be one. But if you try to become one, not just the two of you, the three of you, there is some friends who cannot be given boundaries. There are relatives who cannot be given boundaries. Sometimes given work that becomes part of the marriage in a way that there's no boundary around it. You'll find that the marriage will suffer, and sadly sometimes the marriage will die, just like the thorns choked the plant and it died. The fourth place, that's the happy place, and this is the fertile ground. And in this place, the seed grew and it germinated. And in fact, they say that it gave a harvest, a good one. And this is the place we all want to be. This is the place that we should all target to be. That our marriage will be in a foundation that is of good soil. A foundation that is not a pathway for everyone to walk in and out and crash us. A place where the ground is deep. We have dug deep. We have done the work. A place where we have sheltered ourselves away from the thorns. And for this to happen, that means that maybe the individuals were able to get vulnerable, get very intimate with the details of their life, how even relatives and family come together, being able to position the right boundaries with people, with friends, with work, and even understanding how you relate with each other in a healthy way, learning healthy communication. And I felt like this is a place where, or an individual who realizes that I need to separate to build, because a foundation actually creates a separation. You dig out everything and you start your foundation on a fresh ground. And sometimes it might need taking time away from other people just to be able to concentrate on what you're building until it is firm and secure. And in this good soil, this is what good preparation would represent for marriage, where you have invested and are willing to go deeper. And that shows that you're willing to be the builder. You're willing to get your hands dirty. You're willing to have difficult conversation. And you're able to also enjoy the benefit of that is having a marriage that is built on good foundation. So when you say a good foundation, that means that when the rocky things come or the shaky things, the sun that is scorching, when it burns, the foundation won't give in. When even people try to step on it, the foundation is strong and it's holding. When there's shaking, it means that it will hold. It doesn't mean that the marriage will not have challenges. It will have challenges. It will be exposed sometimes to the same situation that other marriages are subjected to, but you'll find that such a marriage is able to survive more. It may be shaken, but it won't fall because the foundation was right, the soil was right. So for me, this is an invitation for you to create a better foundation, to choose the strong foundation. It may require time, You might have to invest financially, you may have to wait, it may be uncomfortable, but at the end of it all, what you're gaining is something that will last a lifetime. So I wanted to share that today about why a foundation is important in marriage and why not just a foundation but a good foundation. So thank you for listening. See you in the next one.